Now we're starting to get into the thick of it. It's mid-April and everything looks like it's coming up. All the seeds that we planted over the past couple of weeks, they're all starting to sprout. But because there's just so many seedlings now, or so many vegetables now growing, I'm gonna actually split up these weekly review of the seedlings into two categories. One, the ones that we still have in the grow room and in the greenhouse. And then in the second part, all the stuff that's in the garden now that we've planted up. So for week 15, let's take a look at what we got growing indoors still.
First up is my cauliflower, which is really ready to be planted now. We'll be doing that this weekend though. It's actually way behind schedule and should have been potted up weeks ago. But because the first set of seeds we sowed didn't seem to take, we had to plant new seed. And while they've grown nicely, those are obviously the ones on the left, they're still several weeks behind schedule. And I really don't want them growing too far into the warm summer months. As I've mentioned before, I've had difficulty with cauliflower in the past not heading up, and I blame that on it growing in the warm weather. So this weekend I'll plant them out, but because I have no space in the garden for them, I'm going to be growing these in containers. That's going to be a first for me, but maybe it'll also improve my success.
Nothing yet on the spinach. At least I don't think so. A lot of green things growing in here, but I think they're mostly weeds. But we'll see. There's some things that are popping up in the spots where seeds were planted. Some of these just might turn into spinach plants yet. Spinach does take a little time to start going, but we'll keep an eye on them too. The eggplant is doing well. These three, which is probably two more than I need, but they're doing fine. These two look particularly good, and they'll be getting ready to be potted up soon into individual containers. The basil and parsley are looking healthy still, and I'm going to end up planting these along with the sage and thyme into a vertical herb garden, and I'll show you how I do that in just a minute. But they're looking healthy, as is our various mints, the spearmint and peppermint, and they're probably ready to go into a larger container now too. So these stacking planters from Dollar Tree cost $1.25, and they're pretty good. They're not as good as the green stalk, but for something like this, it serves its purpose, and it's excellent. You can't beat it for $1.25. So on the bottom of these, you punch out these little holes here. I take some of my potting mix, which is peat moss, some garden topsoil, some of my chicken compost, and I fill up the containers. When I say fill up, I mean right up to the top, and I just take the other one and pack it down. I like the soil right up to about this top line here. You can see the markings. It's a little low on this one, but that's okay. In fact, because I'm going to be planting one of my sage plants in here, I probably don't even need one of these containers filled. So I'm going to remove it from one side, put some over there. Only because there's so much soil in here already that should be sufficient. And you can see the sage plant, which, as I said, it was just a small cutting, about this big, a little sprig like that I cut, stuck it in some soil and grew it. So that's going to be its new home. And as you can see, this will fit right on top of it here. And this will still have plenty of room to grow up. And we'll do the same thing with the parsley. So this is the tower that I created. It's 6 tiers high. We got lettuce at the bottom, and then we got the herbs at the top, the sage, the parsley, the basil's back there, and we've got the chives here and the thyme here. And I don't know that I would go higher than 6 tiers. I mean, it's fairly sturdy. I don't think the wind's going to blow it over unless we get some hurricane force winds. But what's nice is that you can basically stick this anywhere in your garden. Right now I just got it on my deck next to my potatoes, but this can go anywhere in the garden. The rosemary and the oregano still coming along a little bit longer, and we'll transplant these into the containers for the herb garden as well. Something else that's ready to be planted up is our horseradish. I mean, look how much it's grown in just the 1 week. That's incredible. Particularly that back there, which I believe was the bottom part of the horseradish. And it's really taken on a lot of growth. But they're all very, very healthy. So it's time to pot them up into buckets. But can't argue, they're looking very healthy. Leeks are looking healthy still. And they've got a ways to go yet. In theory, we can plant them in the potato buckets right after we harvest the potatoes. But waiting that long just might be too long. So we'll see how it goes. But they're coming along nicely. Peppers are looking healthy. Particularly the, which ones were they? Oh, the California Wonders. The Granbells, the ones that have sprouted are looking good. We've got 2 more over here. But the 3 that have sprouted there, they're coming along. But the California Wonders have been the better performers so far. Still no change with the sweet potatoes. I mean, their root systems continue to grow, but there's no slips forming. And I think what this shows is that I really should have started them a lot sooner. Maybe start them at the end of January, beginning of February, because I just don't think, even if they start producing slips today, which they're not, but even if they did, I just don't know that they're going to grow big enough in time for when I want to plant them out. This one seems to be doing okay. The one in the water, the slips are starting to pick up now. Starting to stretch and fill out. So at least we'll have a few slips to put in the ground, but still nothing on that one. So the key might be using a lot of sweet potatoes to start growing slips. That way you're not relying upon just 1 or 2 plants to make it through for you. And right now, it's just this one that we're counting on. So we're going to have to see how it goes. Disappointed that potato didn't produce anything, not even roots. And also that these sweet potatoes have only grown roots, but no slips. I mean, maybe with the extensive root system that they're developing, that once the slips start, they'll really take off running. But I still think the key will be to starting earlier next year. So as I said in part 2, we're going to look at all the vegetables now that are growing in the garden or that we've planted in various spots around the yard. And if you want to see what we were doing in our garden last week, check out this video right here and then subscribe and hit that notification bell. And that way you'll be able to follow along on the progress on all of our vegetables as we try to grow a supermarket in our own backyard. Okay, thanks for watching.